Three. Yes, recording is in progress. Got it. All right. A big San Diego SDEB hey to everyone. Welcome to the SDBA Power Lunch Networking event. It's mostly familiar faces here, but I'm kind of go over just the basics of how we work. I'm your host, Milo Shapiro, the author of Public Speaking, Get A's, Not Z's. I'm going to get rid of the meeting controls that are showing up there. They're gone now. And this is the San Diego Chamber of Commerce for San Diego's LGBT plus community and its allies. Happy to have any of those letters that apply to you. One of them's bound to. Welcome to February event here. Today, according to the calendar, is Pizza Day. We lucked out. Could have been Boy Scout Day, and I don't know what we would have done with that. So enjoy your Pizza Day, and I wish I could. I've been low carb for 4 years. Pizza sounds awfully good to me. Please mute yourself at this time if you aren't already. That's Alt A on the Windows, Shift Command A on your Mac, or there's a place or you can probably tap something on your screen. Yeah, it could be under the chat is a good thing to have on in case people want to write to you after you talk and go, hey, I want your services. And if you don't check your chat, you wouldn't know they said that. It could be under the more button if you have a small screen. We also recommend you turn on the participants window. I'll explain why in a little bit because that affects when you're going to talk. We're going to be putting this video on YouTube afterwards so people can play back the meeting if they weren't able to make it and want to hear what people had to say and our interview of the day. So that will end up being posted on our Facebook page, just so you know. Today's sponsor is Motwani LASIK Center. If you know anyone who is tired of the glasses and the contact lenses, Motwani LASIK Institute is amazing for the work that they do. And it's very special to me right now because some of you know that I had an eye injury at a different doctor a few weeks ago and could not have seen any of you. And I was sent to Motwani LASIK Institute back to 2025 and still getting better from literally not being able to see out of this eye. An amazing place. I couldn't not have them as our sponsor this week, but they also just do simple LASIK or even getting rid of your reading glasses. They can do that. So let me know if you'd like a referral there. It's Motwani LASIK Center. If you're interested in being the Power Lunch sponsor at some point in the future, you can let me know or let Jeremy know by sending a note to info@sdeba.org. Helping out today, we have CJ, who's at the controls. He's the one who let you in, and he helps out in a number of ways in the background. Sometimes he posts things that I say when I don't have time. We also have Brenda Geary, who's going to be working on the timer cues. She'll explain that when it gets to that point when we're going to go around and do our introductions. And we always want to thank our board, some of whom are here today. We've got, I know we have Jeremy here, and we have Dorian here. A few others aren't able to make it, but those blue boxes are a way of letting you know that we have room for at least 3 more people on the board. So if you'd like to be more involved, talk to Jeremy. I'm sure he'd be happy to find out how they can get you involved. What does SDEBA stand for? CJ, why don't you share with us, what is our mission statement?
Absolutely. The San Diego Quality Business Association promotes LGBTQ influence through business ownership, workforce equality, and active consumerism, creating prosperity to support equality, diversity, and inclusion.
Terrific. Moving on, features of being an SDEBA member, some of you who are not, is one of the best ones is that you get to be on our search. I know that there are plenty of times I want a resource. Excuse me, I'll go to the sdeba.org website, put something in like engraving, and there's an option there for it. And when I click on it, I learn all about her company. So that was a little promotion for her since she's here today. We get to have that resource, even if there's 3 or 4 realtors, at least you're listed there and people get to find you. It's a great way of connecting. And also things like the member app that tells you all the activities we have going on and helps people connect throughout the organization. We also have all kinds of mixers like this one that we had back in October and a live one. I think that was probably June-ish that we did over there at Inside Out. And as safety permits, we do more. In the meantime, though, we also have things like the Power Lunch so we can meet this way as well as in person. Lots of ways to stay connected through the SDEBA. What is today about? It's about to give you a chance to share what you offer to a larger section of the community than you might at mixers. Not everyone goes to mixers. A chance to learn about what others in the community offer, to provide education sometimes to our members, and it helps grow the SDEBA family as people learn about our organization here. What this isn't is exclusive by industry. So even though there's only 10 people here, there could be 6 realtors. There aren't, but there could be. We allow that. Everybody's welcome to come. It's not a chance to learn intimately. We're only going to get to share for about 40 seconds each what we do, but that's hopefully enough to get people interested in you so they want to do a one-to-one with you afterwards or message you for more information. It's not a replacement for our business networking groups that meet once a week and we get to know each other's businesses really intimately with those 1-hour meetings so that we really are able to recommend each other and give each other leads. And it's not a commitment. If you can't make a power lunch, then you can't make it. So, maybe play it back later, but it's not a commitment. We just want you to be here as often as you can. And finally, it's not a place to sell to us. You're better off convincing us why you're great and why we should be recommending you to others than you are hoping that one of these people here is literally going to buy your goods or services. So think about it as a network spreading event, not a sales situation. Our format is we're going to finish this opening and then we'll do our member introductions where everyone gets to talk about themselves. We'll have our guest interview with Martine Lopez. I'll let you know about any upcoming events and announcements, and then we'll have our official closing no later than 1 o'clock. What we will do is have Q&A when the meeting is over, even if that's at 1 o'clock, so that we don't keep people late. That way, it just works. That way you can stay longer with Martine if you'd like to. Sometimes, as I said, extended Q&A. When will you know it's your turn? That's the great thing about that participants list. The participants list shows up alphabetically up in the corner there, except for a couple people at the top who are co-hosts, and they get seen differently. They're at the top. After that, we'll switch to the alphabetical. When you hear your name, that's your chance to unmute, to share what you do orally, or you can do a screen share if you're comfortable with that. Just know your time counts. So if you're going to spend the first 30 seconds figuring out how to screen share, maybe practice some other time. Where you're done, remute yourself, unshare if need be, and then put your big 5 down in the chat area. Your name, your website, your phone, your email, your LinkedIn. Any combination of that is great for people who want to connect and find out more about you. Keeping us on time, we have our timekeeper, who is not Barbara. I forgot to change that back. No, it's Brenda. All those B names, they catch me. And she's going to be giving you signals so you know when it's time to wrap up. So Brenda, not Barbara, would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. It's good to be here and see y'all. So you're going to want to make sure that you can see me as you're doing your introductions, because I have a couple of visual prompts for you. So for today, we're going to do 45-second introductions. So at 35 seconds, I'm going to hold up this yellow card here, and this is your visual prompt that you've got 10 seconds remaining and that you should be wrapping up your introduction. And then at 45 seconds, I'm going to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to hold up this red card, and this is your stop sign here that you are done with your introduction, so that we can move on to the next person, or I guess 40 seconds. And then at 45 seconds, I'm going to say, thank you. And that's your verbal pulling you off the stage. And then when you're done with your introductions, please do put your contact info and details in the chat so that folks can follow up with you if they're, based upon what you have shared.
Beautifully done. Hey, CJ, I'm having a little tech problem, hoping I can resolve it, but I may need your help. Normally at the bottom, I have those meeting controls, or at least if I put my cursor down there, they show up, and they are not showing up. I don't know what's going on today. So I can't get the chat or the call list for who's up next.
Milo, try the Alt key.
Alt key, okay.
Anything?
Alt what?
Just Alt. That's the latest one. The other option is Control Alt Shift.
Control Alt Shift. No, nothing is showing up at the bottom. And even when I put my cursor down, there's sometimes that makes them pop up. So I don't have the chat. I don't have the.
I'm gonna stop your share for you and see if you can reshare, and if that helps.
Now I see them again. That's interesting. Let's see what happens when I share. They go away again. That's really weird. Oh wait, no chat. Yes, we're okay. Chat is just a floating window now. It's not a thing unto itself. But at least I can get and participants. Great. Now I can call people. I'm hoping you're not seeing that on my screen. But I think the nature is you don't see my Zoom. I think Zoom doesn't show Zoom. Okay, great. So we're gonna start things off now. Away we go at the top of the list. CJ, would you give us an idea of what 40 seconds looks like here?
Absolutely. I got to put on my web safari hat. My name is CJ Gilbert. I've been a website developer for over 25 years, and now I'm also a speaker and author. In just a second, I'm going to share my SDEBA resource page with you so you can help yourself to some of my free resources. And I'm also looking for groups. If you know of a podcast or a group that's looking for a speaker this year, I would love to be considered, as I would love to present some information on how to make your website work for you. Please feel free to help yourself to this link to check out my free video workshop, as well as my podcast, Ask a Web Geek, where I've talked about topics of all kinds. And if you like, I've got a free training on LinkedIn. You'll find it over here in the right-hand column. My name is CJ Gilbert. At Ask a Web Geek and Gilbert Studios, we understand the internet is a jungle.
Grr. Excellent. Nicely done. We always grr after his jungle talk. I'm used to that. All right. I'm going to move down on my list. Brenda, would you tell us what you're all about besides being a timer? I think there's more going on in your life than that.
So my name is Brenda Geary. My passion is health and wellness. I'm a former corporate HR executive that got really, really sick and spent the next 10 years trying to regain my health, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, at my sickest 20 hours a day in bed on 24 prescription medications. So I was able to get my health back, and my biggest passion is helping people to regain their health. I want people to optimize their wellness. And so what I wanted to share today really quickly is, since this is Heart Health Month, I wanted to share this study here. It's by the American Heart Association, and we are having a ton of success with individuals on our product. And this study right here that was done on our specific product is the only time that a branded supplement has been featured in Circulation magazine. So who do you know that's got some heart health issues that could use some help? Thank you.
Correct. And not just them, but their pets. I know that I can say that on your behalf.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we have Jeremy Wilson. Jeremy, anything you'd like to share?
Hey everyone, welcome to our first of 2022 Power Lunch networking events. First of all, we're so grateful, Milo, for you taking the initiative, scheduling guests, putting these on. Really do thank you for that. Every time I come to a Power Lunch, I see new faces exposing our organization to all sorts of different folks out there. So welcome everyone. Please always check sdeba.org for all the latest /events. We are planning some in-person events, larger events very soon, just waiting a little bit longer for these Omicron dip to go down even further. We had to cancel our last big one, which was scheduled for yesterday. But again, thank you for coming. Please do use the chat function, share your information, and network with each other after this as well. Thanks.
Thanks so much. All right, working our way down, we're at the alphabetical part of the list. I'm going to skip Martine because he's going to get plenty of time to talk later. I hope that's okay. And we're going to start with our alphabetical with Adriana.
Thank you so much. I'm Adriana Brunner, and I am the Business Development Manager for My Point Credit Union. Just to let you know about how credit unions really impact the community. We are very different from other financial institutions, and I'm proud to be here. Just want to share with you our webinar series that we will offer your members at the association to join. And we will put this in the chat. And we have one tomorrow. It's 5 ways to manage your debt online. I'm a proud Colombia, love coffee, and super happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adriana. And just so you know how much you guys influence my life, I write in this every day.
Yay!
And I do it with this pen. So that was not planned. I didn't even know you were going to be here.
If you need any more, just let me know.
I will, because I'm working my way through that book little by little.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a nice giveaway one time. All right, next up we have Celeste.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Celeste Rodriguez. I'm also with My Point Credit Union. I'm the Business Development Officer, so I am lucky enough to work with Adriana. She's amazing, as you guys saw. And aside from our workshop series, you know, we're your local credit union. We actually have a location in North Park, really nearby, and we have a total of 7 in San Diego County. Please reach out to us for any financial needs you might have, advice. We're here for you. And we'll put our info on the chat. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. One of the few locations in North Park that has parking too. So that's a real bonus.
Exactly.
I was there just recently. Okay, next up we have Craig. You're still muted, Craig. There you go.
Hi, my name's Craig Lepore, and I'm a newer member to the organization. I'm a workers' compensation applicants attorney, and I represent injured workers that have injuries that they sustain on the job.
Great. Any particular aspects that you want to share?
My office location is in North Park near 30th and Adams, and I can share my contact information if any. I've been an attorney for about 20 years and have always focused exclusively on the area of workers' comp, so I'm real familiar with it. And if anyone's interested in my information, I can put it in the chat and they can reach out.
Great. Thanks for being with us. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Definitely nice to have that additional level. Nobody else doing that. So good to have you here. Over to Dorian Brewer with State Farm. And his very
Good morning,
dark
everybody.
office.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's a new computer. Sorry about that. I couldn't have problems joining earlier. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Very good. All right, so Dorian Brewer, State Farm Insurance. I think I'm just going to say I'm a success story of the SDEBA. I started as a team member 7 years ago and joined the group about 5 or 6 years ago. And today I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner for 2 years with my own agency. My ask is, if you know anybody looking, I'm hiring to add to my team. One of the more successful agencies in the area, so I'm proud of that. I'm looking for people. So if you know anybody who wants to like own their own business one day, I can mentor them and show them how. Thank you so much. Dorian Brewer, State Farm Insurance.
Thanks. Right in the heart of things at El Cajon in Texas by the McDonald's there. Pass you all the time. Next up, I see Evan up in Los Angeles. Evan.
Hey there, my name is Evan Hughes. I work as a technical project manager. I used to be an IT engineer working with companies like Disney Feature Animation, JPL NASA, as well as Engine running their security systems. Now I manage systems and engineers to build amazing technology for new companies and growing companies. I take my time to work with people and collaborate to bring together really great solutions. I think like a professional engineer and I collaborate like a professional negotiator. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. And I thought something was wrong with my screen because I couldn't get past Carla, and I realized, no, our alphabet ends at K today. That's very unusual. So, Carla, I think you're simply up last.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. I'm Carla. I am founder of SD Construction Cleaning and Janitorial. We have 15 years of experience, formerly known as KVS Maintenance. We are a one-stop cleaning company. We start off the projects with post-construction, final cleaning, and continue on with day porters, handyman services, with everything in between, as COVID disinfecting, which is very popular right now. We have carpet cleaning, window cleaning, pretty much anything to do with cleaning in the commercial area. I am new here. I am not yet a member of SDEBA, but I'm going to join. I'm looking forward to the events, the mixers, networking, and I will put my LinkedIn.
Well
I got the
done.
red card.
For
Thank you.
first time out that you did well. That was good.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you.
Carla. It's nice to put a name with the face. Hi.
Hi, Jeremy.
Yes, definitely. All right. And I'm your host. I'm Milo Shapiro. My primary business is that I am a public speaking coach, helping people realize that knowing English and knowing what your topic is about does not necessarily make you ready to speak about it. There's a whole lot of other steps: how to use your face, your body, your voice, how to make sure there's a good through line. Are you balancing stories and data effectively? Are people going to remember it? It's not enough that the 9 people here remember it. It's that they can remember it well enough to tell other people about it. And if the message gets muddled, you didn't succeed as much as you should have. So there are things that we can teach people. And I often hear people say, why didn't I do this 20 years ago? I would have been so much more successful. So that's my main business. My other business, with Valentine's Day coming up, I thought I'd mention this too, is that I'm a photo editor. So you can see this photo was stuck to the glass and black and white and all torn up. By the time I was done with it, color, clear, wonderful. It's a wonderful gift to give somebody for their Valentine's Day or Mother's Day coming up. So that's me. I'll put my information down there at some point when I have time to type and think at the same time. That wraps up our go around with everyone introducing themselves. Well done, everyone. And that brings us to the next part of our meeting, which is our guest interview. So my guest today is author, trainer, and coach in the personal development industry. His book, The Curiosity Theory, is a powerful methodology that made me want to have him on as a guest today. I'm going to keep my intro short and sweet and let him do more of the talking as we get questions from him. So welcome, Martin Lopez. Thank you for being here, and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Milo. So cool. So cool to be here.
All right. So I'm going to start off with curiosity and say, I'm curious where the curiosity theory came from. How was that created?
Came from a fight with my ex-wife.
I can believe that because I've met her.
That's right. Now we're just trying to figure out where to go to dinner on a Friday night. That was, it was one of those casual conversations that you have with people. And we just couldn't figure out where to go to dinner. And it was just got so frustrated that I was driving home in my car when we were trying to figure it out. And I hung up the phone and walked into the house, and she asked me if I hung up on her. And I lied. I was going to say kind of lied, I lied. I kind of lied, But I said, no, I didn't hang up on you. 5 minutes later, she's in the bedroom, playing crossword puzzles on her iPad. And I'm watching ESPN. It's a Friday afternoon. I decided to go down to the beach because I live right here by the beach. And on my way down to the beach, I was kind of going over the argument in my head. And, but I was winning the one when I was going over my head. All you had to do was say this and this, and then we'd be fine. Everything we'd be out to dinner, having drinks and going to listen to music and all that. And I get down to the beach and I'm trying, why are we fighting? This is crazy. And I just went for a walk, trying to figure out why we were fighting. And when I was walking, 3 stories popped up in my head, which are the first 3 stories in my book. And one of them was when I was in 8th grade, and I was hanging out with a couple guys, and I broke up a fight that they were in. And as a result of breaking up that fight, I became part of that fight. And as I backed up, because this guy, John, it was a lot bigger than me, I had broke up the fight, and he was getting ready to hit me. And I was like, why are we fighting? And he stopped. He just put his hands down. Like, I don't know. And that's the first story. There's a little more to it in the book. And then the second one, when I was a real estate agent back in my 30s, I had a couple, and they were buying a house, and we went to do the final inspection because we were all done. I was going to give them their keys, and we had closed escrow that day, and they pulled up to the house, and I walked them around the house, and she looked really upset. The wife looked really, really upset, and I didn't know why. I figured she was fighting with her husband or something, and we were standing at the counter, just kind of talking. And I was talking about, getting referrals. There's a thing in business, we ask for referrals. So I said to her, I said, you like the job I did, and you were referred to me by Elizabeth, and all my business is referral. And she put her hand out in front of my face, literally like this. I said, Martine, we won't be referring you anybody. And I freaked out. And I remembered Hector to look at her and say, honey, is there something wrong? And she started to cry. And she looked at me, she said, I'm really sorry, but ever since we got our offer accepted, all I could imagine is me getting the keys and opening my door up for the first time ever. And, now that you open the door, I don't get to have that dream. And I said, well, I haven't handed you the keys, and we're not done yet. We still have to sign some paperwork. And I didn't have any paperwork. I just had to figure something really quick. And she said, okay. And she took off out the door, and Hector followed her. They drove around the block. I locked up the whole house and stood by the street. So I didn't want to be on the property at all. And she jumped out and gave me a big hug. And still to this day, they're still referring me business. As a matter of fact, she referred me somebody this week. But there were
Bet you never open someone's house up for them again.
Yeah, that definitely, that does those things you do that send a shocker. But what I learned from those 2 stories was that curiosity was this thing that changes the direction of fights, if you will, of tension, of conflict. And I thought, hey, maybe I can use that on Yvette, maybe I can use it on my wife. So I ran to the car and drove home and walked in, and I said, hey, honey, I'm really sorry. I'm real curious. Can you tell me what I did to upset you? And she said, yeah. And she told me what I did to upset her that day and that week and that year and the whole 17 years of our marriage. And the difference is that I actually was listening. And I didn't really understand it until the next day, like what had happened, because I would never listen to somebody tell me that much stuff about me. I've got a bit of an ego sometimes, and when, people are telling us what's wrong with us, it's really, really difficult to listen to those kind of conversations. So I was listening to her talk, and we got home, and we had a great night, went to dinner, and I didn't even remember where we went. Everybody's asking me, where'd you go? I can't even remember where we even went. But we got home, had a great night, and I started journaling because I journal a lot. I have journals, Milo, I journal a lot. And so I just stood up and I journaled, and probably about 60, 70 pages I journaled. I just kept writing. And all the stuff she said to me and all the stuff I thought. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, she gets up to go have a glass of water, and I'm sitting on the couch, and she walks behind me, and I said, honey, can you tell me why you shared all that information with me and all this stuff? And she said, I felt safe. Like, well, there you go. That's an easy one. But it really was something that I never thought about. I never thought about how you could create safety for another human being, And it even to this day, it almost makes me cry, because it's such a beautiful thing to be able to create safety for another human being. I mean, you look at today's world, it's like, do we have it? I mean, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are. It doesn't matter if you're tall, short, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, it doesn't matter anything. It's just not safe out there, And safety is so fundamental for human beings. And in that moment, when she told me that, I started to connect the dots and say, I was just being curious, and curiosity creates safety. And like, what else, honey? And she said, I felt like you respected what I was saying. I'm like, whoa, there's another one, And then she said, I felt like I could trust you. I was like, whoa, there you go. There's a cornerstone for life, trust, safety, and respect. And I just can't imagine any human beings like not wanting that. So I started to study that. I started to study trust and safety and respect. And I just saw that like it's fundamental. Matter of fact, Maslow, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he talked about trust, he talked about safety, he talked about respect as fundamentals, like a base need that human beings have. And there's no way we're going to be able to connect with each other like on the next level. You know, it's survival, safety, love and belonging, self-esteem and self-actualization and self-transcendence. So what Maslow said is, he said there's fundamental needs that human beings have, which are the survival needs. You know, we have to be able to eat, we have to be able to breathe, we have to have a clothing, and once we can breathe and once we can eat, then we're looking at safety needs, which is structures and things like that. You know, how are we going to have structure, how we're going to be safe, how we're going to, you know, run our businesses, and once we do that, then we can start to have love and belonging, which is like we can have friends like here, you know, we can start to become a part of a group. But if we don't feel comfortable and safe in this group, then we're going to leave, because that's real important. And then you could say, hey, you know, I went to SDEBA. I would say, you know, because that's a self-esteem thing. I go, hey, I feel really good about myself because I got to talk in front of these really great people, and it grows, you know. And then you get an opportunity, if you really follow the chain, is it then you get to give back, which is self-transcendence and self-actualization, and you then get to give back to people. And I learned that that's the way, you know, kind of like life works, and that's the way human beings work. And then I did a speech about that on Friday at my Toastmasters meeting, and the guys at the Toastmasters meeting just said, you know, you gotta write a book. And so one of the guys that's in the Toastmasters used to write speeches for a senator, and he said, hey, I can help you. And I'm like, okay. So we got together you remember this, Milo, I shared that with you. And so we got together for 6-8 weeks, and all of a sudden I wrote a book, and there it is.
Pretty cool. You cover so much under the heading of curiosity, with the trust and the respect and all those things that Yvette brought to the table. How do you define curiosity?
It's what you just did right now. You know, it's that part of that being human being, when you actually have a sense of like wanting to know, like actually do authentically want to know. It's kind of the opposite of telling somebody or asking a question where you have a specific answer that you want. You know, like, you know, would you take out the trash? That's not really a question. You know, would you mind taking out the trash? You don't really care if they mind taking out the trash. You just want them to take out the trash, you know? So it's curiosity is that it's that experience that you have inside yourself when you know you really are interested, when you really are backing off and creating a space of wonderment or of appreciation, or of like I see Milo, like, hey, you know, I'm always curious about what you're doing, how everything's going with you and Robert and all that, you know. It's like we have these conversations, and it's that kind of conversation, but having that kind of conversation with our clients, you know, with the people that pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm really interested in your product. I'm really interested in your law services. I'm really interested in your, you know, what you have to provide. It's like, wow. So, you know, it's like that, it's that truth. It's that truth that human beings have, but we don't say, because we're all kind of the same. When someone picks up the phone and calls you, you know, it's very few people that I know that are so narcissistic and so self-centered that they go, well, of course you called me. I'm the most awesome, you know. Most people in their truth is like, wow, I'm just a big goofball. Like, God, thank you for calling me. You know, I feel so honored. But we don't say that, you know, we're not honest. And curiosity is that honesty that you really have to tap into, that gets you to appreciate someone just picking up the phone and calling you and just saying, hey, Milo, I'm really interested in getting my photos, you know, my photos done. You know, it's like, wow, you know, thanks, you know, wow.
The other day, somebody in another networking group and we agreed to do our one-on-one to get to know each other a little bit better and be more aware. And I couldn't get him to talk about himself because he kept turning it back with more curiosity about me. And it was kind of odd being elevated over. He's like, yeah, I can type my website stuff later, but I really want to know one more thing. And it was just so interesting to have someone that dedicated. And now I'll remember him for it because of his interest in me. It's unique.
It creates, you know, curiosity. Like I think I say it in the book, it opens up a door. It opens up a different door that we have, and it really opens up our heart, because when you're curious, like if I look at Carla and I'm real curious about, maybe her hat, or she's got a great smile, like Adriana with her enthusiasm and stuff, when you do that, human beings get to be part of a connection. And that's just not the way it is right now. It's just not that way. We're not connecting. I think as a species or as human beings, we're for the most part just grabbing and holding on and hoarding, kind of like the toilet paper, like, you know what I mean? There's a kind of make a symbolic thing with the toilet paper, how we used to hoard it, 2 years ago, than how we are with each other. It's almost like what's in it for me, which is fundamental to being a human being, but it's just not I don't know. It's just really not I think a true part of our true nature. It's really not how we are, because I think how we are is like, there's going to be a shortage of toilet paper. So let me go buy a bunch of toilet paper and hand it out to people so that they feel safe. Do you know what I mean, Brenda?
That's what actually happened with me. When the stores started to get it back again, I saw that the Target had big packages and you could buy up to 2. And I thought, I'm going to be like the king of my complex here. And I went door to door saying, I've got, and everybody said, oh no, I just got. So I was stuck with 40 rolls of toilet paper for a long time, trying to do the right thing. I ended up being a hoarder. I don't think I've shared that story before, but I couldn't believe I couldn't get rid of toilet paper in mid 2020. If you were to define it succinctly, because after all the time I've known you, I still don't know, how would you define what the curiosity theory is?
It's a methodology to connect with human beings.
Through being more curious about them.
Being curious, yeah. To being curious, really be curious about yourself, and then how you are interacting, like what's going on with you. And there's three different things that happen in human beings that none of us know about. We don't distinguish, but it happens on every one of us, and it's happening right now. And it's happening again right now. And it's going to happen again right now. And 10 seconds later, it's going to happen again for every single one of us on this this Zoom call. And it is that we observe like we're looking. I could say there's Adriana and her background. She has an orange background. I look at Milo and I can see Milo has a white background, and there's like a line, there's like some kind of separation.
It's a pole, it's a lamp.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And I can see Brenda. I've been wondering what that was,
I usually put it off center so it's more obvious.
I got it. So the question I have for everybody here, like raise your hand. How many of you have wondered what that little thing, that black line was behind Milo? I maybe not, but I have, I look at it, what is, and that's the first part, is that we observe, and then we then make stories about the observations that we see. So, if I take, let's say, I'll take Dorian. God, that's a great name. Is that your name, Dorian? That's a cool name. And then right behind, what does it say right behind you? It says family. Does that say family? Okay.
Yeah, it's his family. Yep.
It's his family. Okay. So we're observers. So I would go family. Oh, he probably has a family, because we take what we observe and we make stories with what we observe. And then there's 2 other things that connect to that, which is then feelings and needs. And then we have a feeling about that. Could be like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's got a family, And so when I say nice guy, then I have a what I call a yum emotion. So there's yum and yuck. So yum is good and yuck is right. And so I have a yum emotion. So like, oh, I'm a family guy. He's a family guy, and then it connects to a need, which is need to be around nice people. Let's say that is. So he's a nice guy. I'm a nice guy, like that. But if let's say he was like a mean guy, right? I'm like, oh, he's not really a family guy, So I have a yuck emotion, right? So I don't want to be around him because my need to be around nice guys doesn't get met. And then it goes back into my observation. I go, yeah, that's probably not in his family pictures. That's probably, Then I start to make up new stories, and then I start to go down a tunnel. And so that's how we think. That's how human beings think. So we think in those 3 different steps: observations, feelings, and needs. And when we can distinguish that, then we have more power in what's going on with ourselves, and more empathy with what's going on with another person.
This seems like it comes naturally to you, but it sounds like it was this big aha when you were struggling with Yvette.
Right.
So Is this something that you can transfer the knowledge of to others? How do we put it into practice?
Well, funny thing you say that. I actually created a whole workshop around it. So I created a whole workshop around it called the curiosity theory. And I've been training that. I trained it to over 330, I think 330 people now. And then when COVID hit, it was, you know, I don't know why I didn't think about it. I should have trained it on Zoom, but I didn't for some weird reason. And I started up last September again. But what happened was in September and August, I had talked to some of the guys that had taken the class. And so girls, sorry, but what I decided to do is just focus on men, just focus strictly on men. And the reason why is I saw that there were so many conversations that men wanted to have that we wouldn't have in the company of women, that we could have in the company of ourselves, but we couldn't have. We weren't willing to share what we wanted to share. And so I decided to take men's the curiosity theory and give it like a 9-month hiatus and just do something called Men's Breakthrough Challenge, and then teach and just work with men, because like most of the girls say, yeah, men definitely need it, you know. So you know, it's being able to tap into your emotions, but not like it's not tapping into your emotions like, you know, let me have a cry session. It's tap into your emotions so you can actually identify that emotion that you're experiencing. And then when you can identify that emotion and actually label that emotion, you have actually access to anything, because you can use the emotions to your benefit, or you could see where they're being used to your detriment.
How do you apply this with sales and business?
It's listening to what people say. So in almost any conversation, and so I'm going to challenge you guys all to do this, is notice any conversation you're going to have with anybody, they're almost always going to use the word feel. Like I feel like, you know, I feel like this, or I feel like that, right? That's kind of common words, right? As we say. And when you can identify what they say, I feel like this, what they're saying is what's important to me. See, when somebody says feel, that is like the absolute most important thing to you. You know, who wants to feel in love? Who wants to feel connected? Who is absolutely more important than anything? Like I would die if I could feel a particular way to die. You know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of a weird thing. So what I mean by is it's the only thing like worth dying for is to feel alive, you know? I mean, that doesn't really make sense, but the point is that feelings are so important to us. And when you use, and we all do, we use feelings as a stepping stone into a conversation. Well, when you could take apart what someone's saying, like, well, I feel like you weren't paying attention to me. You can't feel like you can't have the feeling of not being paid attention to. That just doesn't exist, because a feeling is an emotion, right? So what you do is you learn to take language and understand language more powerfully. So what I hear you say is that you weren't heard. Yes, I feel like you didn't listen to me. I got it. Okay, would you like to share what you said? I apologize. That wasn't my intent. So you're able to take what they're saying and you diffuse it, because you're actually connecting to what's really there for them.
And you're going to do that in a business setting?
100%. I do that every single day. So how I make a living is in the mortgage business. I've been in the real estate business since I was 19. So, but I do mortgages, you know, by day, and I fly the curiosity theory flag at night, you know. But so I'm meeting with couples, and you know, you've been with couples, you know, there's hardly ever a couple that they're both exactly the same. They're mostly always completely different than each other, right? And just having somebody walk into a bank or you know, anything, right? They're just different. People are different. So we have to learn to speak to their language. We have to learn to speak to what they're saying, and they're all saying different things, but they're all doing it exactly the same way. So you're able to hear how they use words when they say I feel or I need, because needs are a need is our fundamental human needs. And so when you understand fundamental human needs, when someone says needs, you can go, oh, that's not really a need, but you're trying to say a need. And if they're not being, so if someone's not being,
but because people aren't going to say what I need is, they're not going to make it that easy. So you have to figure out what their need is.
But not because they want to, but it's not because human beings don't want to, because they want to. They may do it for whatever reason they got. Maybe they were laughed at, or maybe they were treated poorly or some last time, or they're embarrassed, or they have whatever's going on, but they're really trying to get their need met. but they're using their own barometer, how they're going to speak to you. You know, like, okay, is it safe? Is it not safe? You know, they're communicating the best way they can. Human being, even if they're yelling at you, that's the best way, you know, that they can communicate. Like, I'm yelling at you. That's just the best way. That's the only way I know how to do it right now. You know, I'm frustrated, you know. And so if someone's yelling at you, it's like, I can be offended, which makes it about me. But if I want to be there for the other person, then I'm like, this, they're yelling. I'm just really curious why they're yelling. You know?
Do you use the word curious as part of your inquiry? Do you say, I'm curious if, I mean, is that part of the structure?
I kind of do. I think other people use it more than I do. You know, I encourage people to use that because that word is really powerful. But I don't really notice how often I do it. You know, I think I'm just kind of nosy. I just ask questions, you know.
Is there a downside to curiosity, like taken too far or people not expecting it?
I would, you know what, I'd go back to the story you were talking about earlier with the other gentleman. Did he accomplish what he wanted to accomplish in the call?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Could he have shortened the time? Could he have closed you earlier, or?
There wasn't anything to close because he barely talked about himself. So I think what he did is try to make himself memorable as compared to make himself sound like he really knew a lot about website design.
Yeah.
And he did, and maybe set me up for the idea that I'd want to talk to him again in the future. Because as compared to the guy who let me talk for a few minutes and then asked me to watch a 10-minute video about his company, not the best networking. So a very different feeling of leaving the two different people. I want to give you a chance to talk just a little brief about what your book is. I see that CJ already posted a link if people want to get more on it, and how people can reach out to you if they have more ideas about this.
Well, thank you. The book is on Amazon, as you can see. How to get a hold of me is go to thecuriositytheory.com, and you could, I guess my contact information is all right there. And I coach people. I typically coach men. Probably 90% of the people I coach are men. And I do coach some women, but I mostly coach men. What was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
Just basically how people get in touch with you, and you covered all of that.
Just reach out to me. I love having conversations. I had this amazing conversation with this woman today out of LA that is just, the story that she had. Her father swam the English Channel, and he didn't even know how to swim like 6 months earlier, or 8 months earlier or something.
Wow.
He swam five of these, like, I can't, I'm gonna have her on my podcast. She's amazing. I just have amazing conversations. So call me and we'll talk.
Yes, your podcasts, I just never know where they're going to go, but they're always interesting because you get interesting people. Well, thanks. I'm going to wrap up the meeting now a little bit, go back to sharing screen. Our next power lunch, who is going to be the guest? It's going to be, and it's probably overdue, CJ. CJ is going to be talking about what he mentioned earlier, making your website do more for your business. A lot of people just put it out there as that old-fashioned postmark of who you are, and they're not using it to their advantage. And I've learned a lot from him, and you will too. So looking forward to having him with us in March. A couple of things coming up. We were supposed to have the, I was going to say that we were going to have the event that got canceled, but we have a couple of things coming up. My Point is putting on a workshop on tomorrow. That's tomorrow. 5 ways to manage your debt. It's an online workshop. You can reach out to the people who are on this call, and I'm sure they will tell you how to sign up for that. The next time we're doing a new member event is in May. I think Jeremy's probably just waiting a real good long time for Omicron to be behind us. And May 12th, we have another good new member meeting, and everyone is welcome at them, not just the new members. You can follow us on Facebook, which is the name of our organization after that, facebook.com, or join us on LinkedIn, tinyurl.com/LinkedIn. SDEBA will take you to the very complicated name. This one's easier to remember. tinyurl.com, LinkedIn, SDEBA. The Power Lunch page is always out there, and you can always play back past episodes or refer people to them. Or if Martine said something you want somebody to hear, it'll be up there in a day or so. So that'll keep happening at power-lunch.com with all those past episodes out there for you to choose from. If you are not getting our emails, one of two things are going on. If you're a member, it could be that you have to declare sdeba.org as a safe sender so that your spam filter lets your stuff through. And if you are not a member, you're still able to get our stuff. You don't have to be a member to get our invitations. Some things you won't be able to come to, some things might be a higher price, but we always want you to know what we're up to because we want you to come. And so the way you can do that, send an email request to info@sdeba.org and put add to mail email list in the subject line, and we'll take care of making sure that you get our emails. If you'd like to join the SDEBA, that's right there on the website in big letters, easy to find. And Dorian, as our membership chair, will be happy to tell you more. There is his dorian.brewer.wachbut. I don't know what that is. One of these days I got to find out at statefarm.com, or you can just drop him a line here with your email and he'll get in touch with you. I just want to remind you that if somebody has said anything to you over in the chat, expressed an interest, you can do the save the chat. If it's 2022, if you don't know how to save the chat by now, I don't know how you got this far. And the final thought on this month's meeting, Eleanor Roosevelt said, I think at a child's birth, if a mother could ask a fairy godmother to endow it with one of the most useful gift, that gift would be curiosity. As we explore, we show interest, people take note, and it makes for better relationships we learned about today. Thank you all for being here. You can send a note to the organization if you have any comments on today, or to me directly, milo@miloshapiro.com, and someone will definitely get back to you. If you send it to me, it'll be me. That's all, folks, for wrapping up this meeting. I'm going to stop sharing screen now. And we are a few minutes early because we were a smaller group than usual. If you need to get on with your day, you got an extra 7 minutes back. But if you want to stay around and ask any questions of our team, we'll start the Q&A a little bit early. Otherwise, have a great day. And we can stop the recording now. We'll see you next month with CJ.